Hey, this is the C&D channel. I'm Chris, and this is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my post-fight analysis for Bellator 54, and also I'll talk about M-1 Challenge 27 as well. I'm going to just talk about the main card fights, really. So let's get started. Alexander Shlemenko beat Brian Rogers by TKO. One thing that really bugs me with this fight is that it's the whole playing the game thing and the whole knee to downed opponent thing. I hate that. It's like Brian Rogers would put his hands on the floor to get kneed in the face. I hate that rule. It's dumb. Good win by Shlemenko. He took some hard hits, man. This guy's got a chin and great composure, though. He's up against Vitor Viana next. It's tough to say. It's a good fight. It's a very fresh matchup. I'm looking forward to that. Right now I'm gonna go with Shlemenko to win that one, but the other thing that really impressed me with Shlemenko, I really liked, and which really made me angry with Nazare. Two times that Brian Rogers was on top, Shlemenko got up. I mean, he did things to create space to get up. I remember Shlemenko was in Brian Rogers' half guard from the bottom, put his forearm across his neck to create that space to scramble out. I'll get to Nazare, and he doesn't do, except in the first round, he doesn't do that. That just really makes me angry when guys from the bottom don't have that urgency to get back to their feet. It bugs me. I used to be a little more angry about the wrestler, using wrestling to stall action, which I still don't like, because I think MMA does favor the wrestler. But at the same time, I also don't like it when these days, the guy on top's getting more points. Therefore, the guy on the bottom should definitely have a lot more sense of urgency to not just be defensive and wait for the ref. You just can't do that anymore in this day and age in MMA. It doesn't work. You cannot do that. You're gonna lose. And Shlemenko did not do that. I think he learned from the Lombard fight that he just can't do that, and it's really showing. Great win from Shlemenko. Rogers, he looked really good. In that first round, I thought he had the first round, but Shlemenko just, went through. He took some heavy shots, but he managed to come back, rally back into second, and get the TKO victory. Good win for him. Vitor Viana beat Brian Baker by TKO. Man, Baker, I picked Baker to win this fight. Man, he came in with a really bad game plan here. Okay, granted, Viana didn't look that good against Alvey. He looked really tentative. He looked like a guy that was backing up a lot. I understand what Baker was trying to do by pushing forward. The only problem is his offense doesn't leave him any sort of defense. He throws really wide, which really cost them, actually. It was just one of those things where it became reckless. It's one thing to be aggressive. It's one thing to be reckless and aggressive. Those are two different things. Good one from Viana, because, like I said, he looked really bad against Alvey, and, you beat Brian Baker, who's been a Bellator mainstay for a while now. You got to see some of his knockout, it was a TKO, but, it's good to see his, potential knockout power, and just see a little bit more of his game, because he has a lot of, 5 KO, TKO victories, and, 4 submissions, and you didn't get to really see that too much of any of his finishing ability, except when he took Alvey's back, against Alvey. So it's nice to see Viana's finishing ability here. I like that Viana versus Shlemenko. Like I said, fresh matchup. I think Viana's pretty well rounded, which is really good. I'm curious to see what his game plan is. I'd imagine he'd want to take down Shlemenko, because, you know, a lot of guys don't do, you know, like, even when he hits Shlemenko, like, square, he still keeps going. He's definitely got a good chin, and he can catch you, catch his opponent as well. So, you know, it'll be very interesting. Baker, man, you know, just the guy just can't. I like the guy. Great story. You know, cool to see him like propose to you know his now wife. You know, just like what, last year or like a couple months ago. That was pretty cool. But he just can't get that brass ring, man. I don't know. He's got good judo, you know, his heavy hands. I think a lot of his problems are probably defensively. He does throw really wide punches and whatnot, but, you know, he'll be back. You know, he's such a Bellator mainstay at this point. And after that, Zach Makowski beat Ryan Roberts by submission by north-south choke. I really like Zach Makowski, man. This guy, you know, fun size. He takes a guy down. One thing I like about him, too, he takes a guy down and passes guard 2 finish fights, you know. This was no exception here, you know. Passes guard, you know, got it, you know, found a north-south choke. And the transition was quick, too. It was like, it's just a really quick transition, man. He was even doing really well against Roberts on the feet, which I really like to see. I still think that a guy like an Alexis Vila is going to be just a stylistic nightmare for Makowski, personally. That type of knockout power and wrestling background. I don't know how well Makowski will be able to play his game against a guy like Alexis Vila. And there's a lot of interesting challenges for Makowski. Whoever wins this, you know, it can be Dantas. He looks really good as well. Marcus Galvao, you know, I mean, he did really well against Joe Warren. He's looked pretty good as well. Stylistically, it's a very interesting matchup with Makowski. But yeah, Makowski's been looking good. You know, I like the guy. You know. He has really good timing too. Like, he'll catch a kick and immediately go for the takedown. His speed really helps him, even though he's smaller. It's just you know, it's like Demetrius Johnson or like even Benavidez. You know, they're really fast. You know, even though they're like smaller bantamweights, you can really see grab leg takedown. You know, quickly pass. You know, those are just doing. You know, he did that in like seconds. You know. Good for him. Next fight, man. Oh, man. Did Nasri lost to Jacob Curran? Oh, God. Did Nasri just disappoint me here, man? Oh, jeez. I mean, oh, God. You know, it's just one of those things where, like, honestly, the only thing Curran had was wrestling, you know. The thing is, you know, except in the first round, where Nasri got the sweep, you know, when Kerwin took him down, I mean, it was just like he'd get in half guard, you know, Kerwin would stay busy, you know, and Nasri just had no sense of urgency. I mean, it was just like I said with Shlemenko, you see him doing things to try and get back to his feet, but Nasri was just close your guard, you know, lock in your half guard, and, you know, allow the guy to stay busy on top. I mean, he was just flat. You know, I mean, I do jiu-jitsu, and I know I know that there's a thing of like, you can only give, you know, if the wrestler's not giving you anything, you know, it's very hard. So in MMA, I mean, you kind of have to force it. Like with Shlemenko, put your arm, you know, your forearm over the guy's neck, or on the guy's neck, and start pushing up, you know, create that space. I remember after watching this fight, I even said, hey, you know, to my buddy that I was watching this with, I was like, hey, let me show you half guard escape. One thing I mean, you know, you could do also. A lot of people don't do this, and this makes me really angry. Pummel under for an underhook. A lot of people don't do that when they're on the bottom. You know, you can't wait for the ref. You know, and that's a problem with a lot of these guys with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts, is they're too content in their back. In MMA, they just can't be like that anymore. It's not working. You know, Nasri was winning on the feet, and the other thing that bugged me too is, like, you know, Nasri actually successfully took Kerwin down as well. It's kind of like, I kind of wish Nasri would get his own offensive takedown first before Kerwin was able to. It didn't help that Nasri also went for these, like, really high-risk guillotines that didn't go anywhere. Really disappointed in his performance. I mean, I can't say much about Kerwin here. You know, it's like, you know, he was getting outstruck. You know, he was grinding more or less. You know, I mean, you know, there's nothing impressive about Kerwin. You know, he was the better wrestler, more or less, in this fight. You know, really bugs me. And the stuff that Nasri was doing is something that really bugs me with a lot of guys. You know, a lot of guys in the UFC and just in general, a lot of fighters. It's just this lack of sense of urgency to get back to your feet. Or staying active from the bottom. I mean, it just, you know, the ref isn't going to save you. I remember, I think Kerwin in the second round got the takedown relatively early. I mean, the ref didn't stand them up until, like, you know, until there's a minute and 50 left. I mean, Kerwin just won the round just right there, and it's, I mean, yeah, you can kind of say, like, yeah, that the ref should stand them up sooner. But, you know, the fact of the matter is, Nasri should have really done more to, you know, pummel under for, like, an underhook, something, create a scramble, just something. You know, I mean, it's easier said than done, especially against a wrestler, but you know, you just have to. In this day and age, in MMA, with the way wrestling works, you know, you just have to do that, or else you're not gonna win. You know, you're gonna lose a grinding decision. You know, it's the way it works. Really disappointed in his performance. I mean, you know, that really, Nasri is just doing a lot of things that bug me, that I hate to see in MMA. It's kind of like, you know, if you saw, like, Tough and Bermudez was beating up Bass, and I was just like, Bisping's yelling to get up. I mean, it's bad advice because he didn't tell him how, but it's like, Bass was just, like, closing his guard. You know, it's like, it's like, if you just close your guard like that, you're not gonna do anything, and the guy's just gonna beat you up. You know, you're not gonna get anywhere. You know, you can't work to close guard. I think Aoki and Fitch and just a lot of guys are even talking about that. Closed guard is dead in MMA. You can't just close your guard and hope for the ref to stand up. Or even, the other thing is, you can't close your guard and expect the guy on top to give you space for stuff anymore. You know, you know, especially when you're up against wrestlers, they stay so tight, chest to chest. I mean, it's just, you can't just close your guard, you know, and hope that the guy will create some space or something like that. You only get 5 minutes, you know, and you're getting punched in the face. It doesn't work like jiu-jitsu, you know. I was guessing that Nasri was going to have a spot in the Bellator Lightweight Tournament. I don't know if he will anymore. I guess Kerwin would now. If Kerwin gets it, I can't see him getting that far, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, and for the next, and for the undercard, I'll just go for some quick hits here. Dwayne Bassers beat Daniel Gracie by TKO. It's a doctor stoppage. Gracie can't seem to win in Bellator, which is kind of disappointing. Tim Carpenter beat Ryan Contati. Nice uppercut. I liked Carpenter's boxing. Yeah, I don't know if it's the weight class though, but these guys really stand in front of each other. I said it in my predictions, and it's not really changing. I did like his stand up. I did see Carpenter throw a couple more jabs, which is really nice. One with an uppercut, which is really good. But the lack of movement in the feet, I don't know if it's just something with the weight class or whatnot, but it comes off a bit stiff, I guess. I can't really find the word. Joey Kerwin beat Louis Rumsey by guillotine. Carl Amasu was actually supposed to fight him. I guess that didn't happen. Claudio Ledesma beat Brian Kelleher by unanimous decision. That was a fun fight. I remember watching that fight, and that was a cool fight. Same idea here. It was cool. You see the Ledesma take down Kelleher. Kelleher would always try and get back to his feet. It was really good stuff there. I always like seeing guys when they get taken down to get back on their feet. It just, it's that sense of urgency. It's a good thing to see. It's this idea of like these people, they get it. This is MMA. You gotta get back to your feet. And finally, in a women's fight, Andrea Kaplan beat Adrian Saber by unanimous decision. I didn't get to see that fight, so I don't have much to say about that. So I'll get to the M-1 challenge now. Vinny Magalhaes beat Mikhail Zayats by TKO with a really cool head kick, man. I mean, it was like such an off-balance kick, too. Zayats was winning the stand-up against Magalhaes. Magalhaes needs to work on this. I mean, he got the win through stand-up by a head kick, but he still needs to work on his stand-up. He's a tall light heavyweight, but he can't. He wasn't checking leg kicks. It was cool because Zayats got this like inside leg kick, and like Vinny just threw this head kick that was off balance. That was like a bat, and managed to get Zayats. Another thing have liked to see Vinny do. He's a tall fighter. He seems to have good range. Just pump a jab. He looks like a guy that could probably pump a jab, with his size. Like I said, he's pretty tall, lanky guy. But still a good win. Obviously, he's working on his stand-up. His ground game's just insane. I mean, he was hitting sweeps and whatnot. He's definitely one of those guys. See, he's one of those guys. Well, what's cool with him is when he's on, when he's on his back, he's always working. He has so many tools, that he can work. But yeah, from the bottom. But yeah, man, he still needs to work on his stand-up. But it was a good win. Nice way to cap off the night. Kenny Garner beat Maxim Grishin by it was submission by punches. Pretty much, it's pretty much exhaustion. It's a heavyweight fight. It's a very heavyweight fight. I mean, it's like two gas heavyweights that honestly, guys that look like they can probably cut to 205. Garner's gonna get Garam. I can't pronounce his last name. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I predict Garam to beat Garner. A lot of quick submission victories as well, as Arthur Gustinov got a heel hook on Eddie Arizmendi. Yasube Inamoto got a triangle choke on Joshua Thorpe in the first round. Daniel Madrid got an armbar from his back against Tom Galicchio. To round it out, Michael Chavez beat Joe Martinez by split decision. Ryan Krause beat Frederick Lumpkin by TKO in the second round. I mean, one thing I like about M1 though, I can't really say much about these fighters or where they go from here. It's really tough to say. But one thing is with M1 is they can definitely find untapped talent, and so it's really interesting. You know, you got all, and they can get guys like an Arthur Gusanov that have like sambo background. So you get these guys that have a high level combat sports background, or, you know, or like, you know, they're really proficient in a certain discipline. So, and it's kind of an untapped market that they can get into, or talent that they can like get. So it's really interesting. I don't really know what, like, if M1 can get that big. There is potential there just because they're not in the US. You know, or like ONE FC's like in Asia. You know, they have the potential to get big because there's an untapped market there. M1 actually, you know, can get a lot of talent. That's so, you know, they're very interesting in that sense. More so than like a Shark Fights or Legacy or Titan, where there isn't much untapped talent now in the US these days. And even if there is, most of them end up getting signed by Zuffa or Bellator. But you know, like I said, you know, M1 being across the ocean, they can get a lot of guys, you know, from sambo or other, you know, or like Eastern European, you know, from Eastern European countries that, you know, the UFC may not know about. So, you know, it's really interesting. You know, it's really interesting what M1 can do, or has the potential to do. They do have that potential to get big. I don't. The production's not that great though, and you know, overall, you know, they have fun fights, but they do come off kind of bush league, especially with the production. But you know, they have fun shows. You know, that's the thing. So yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about my post-fight analysis of Bellator 54 and M1 Challenge 27. If you have any comments, just leave them below. And that's it for MMA for you. Thank you very much.